Today's practice is building resilience through trying to find harmony within our mind, within our body, just on our mats today. I think each and every one of us from time to time feel like we're not quite as strong as we show others. Sometimes we show others that we have this really hard exterior that we're managing, we're coping just fine. In fact, that is a saying that we're all really used to saying to one another. Hey, how are you today? Yeah, great, thanks, or fine, thanks. And we don't even think about it, it just flows out of our mouth. When actually sometimes we're not feeling so fine, not feeling so great. So today is about trying to build a little bit of resilience within our mind, within our body. But through that resilience that we're trying to build, we are also discovering harmony. So it's not a forced resilience. So begin by just trying to balance your head upon the shoulders, upon the hips there. Feeling tall, but not rigid in any way. Maybe there's some ebbs and flows as you breathe in and out. You feel almost a wave-like motion in your torso, in your spine. Making room for breath to flow with ease in and out through the nose at this stage. Just noticing perhaps where most of the breath physically lands in your body, whether it's today mostly in the belly, maybe it's all through the front of the body, maybe it's right up in the shoulders and the collarbone. Just noticing, not having to manipulate it or change it specifically right now, just observing. And depending how you're feeling, just through observation, it might stay like that, or perhaps it will subtly change without you really truly trying to direct it. It doesn't mean that it will automatically get smoother and longer. For some of us, when we do concentrate on our breath, things can feel a little more out of control. Just be kind to yourself, observe in an easy way, without force. Observe the quality of the inhale and the quality of your exhale. Now, if you're ready, you could gently count a smooth, steady count of 3 for your inhale, and then a smooth and steady count of 3 for your exhale, just for a couple of rounds here. Try to avoid the breath being stagnant in just one part of the body. Try to free up belly, ribs, heart space as you breathe. Steady count of 3. You're welcome to stay still as you are, or perhaps you'd like to bring your palms together and just really lightly plug thumbs into heart space. A reminder to lead from heart today. Be curious about your experience on your mat today And let's not be forceful with our movement or our thoughts today. Have a beautiful practice. Namaste. We're going to continue to bow all the way down and forwards. Just let yourself slink forwards. You might choose to add a little sway out here from side to side. I've chosen to widen my arms and just kind of sway it out like a little undersea kind of strange creature, swaying my way along the bottom of the ocean. You might choose to exaggerate that movement a whole lot more, bringing both hands over one way and maybe lingering there. Maybe you'd like to again add some movement with breath. Little gentle rocks perhaps, still imagining that you are able to breathe underwater and you just turned yourself into whatever creature you want to be. And this is where the harmony is. When you see creatures underwater, it seems effortless, smooth. They use the water to help guide them, glide them through. And then slowly making your way up. You might like to continue to raise the arms up. Take a deep stretch, reaching fingers high. Maybe opening up through the throat, through the face. And then just softening the arms down. So as you're facing forwards on your mat potentially, you might just roll over. I'm just going to come on onto my hands and to my knees here. And you might go ahead and join me in your variation of cat-cows here. So whenever you feel ready, lifting the heart, lifting the sit bones, maybe looking up. And then as you exhale, rounding out through the back. You might choose to do this for a few rounds. Just steady, familiar movements, the sway, the arches, the rounding. And then if it feels right for you to change this up in any way, it might be that you'd like to start taking some sort of big circular movements through the whole of the ribs. Maybe you go one way and then you go the other. Perhaps you're choosing to take a bit of a wagtail looking over one shoulder, the other. Doesn't mean you have to do all of these movements. I'm going to stop here making suggestions. You might have done something completely different here. And again, depending perhaps what time of day you're moving, you might need something else. And then coming to meet on all fours there. How would you feel about taking a little puppy pose, a little melting heart at this point? So I've landed my hips roughly on top of the knees and then starting to walk those hands forwards. So for me, I attempt to rest my forearms down on towards the mat. And I tend to try to keep my elbows relatively wide, so at least shoulder width. If you choose, you might want to bring your hands closer together as you lower the forehead to the earth. You might even balance your forehead on top of your hands if you'd want to. And some feel ready and it's available to them to actually bend through the elbows and take hold of the back of the head somehow. You may not want to take that option if it's already quite challenging to bring the forehead to the earth in the first variation. And just see if you can find a sense of openness through the front of the body. Known as melting heart pose, could the heart gently sag down towards the ground? So it's trying to get closer to the earth, but remembering, depending again on what activities you've been doing before this deep stretch, whether it's necessary for the heart to keep traveling down or not. So trying to find a sense of harmony within your own practice today, within your own body. Could you stay for about 3 more breaths maximum here? You could also have something underneath the knees if kneeling is uncomfortable for you, of course. Last breath. And then slowly coming on up. Maybe you'd like to shift your hips back into the heels. Take a dynamic stretch in your child's if you choose to, bringing your hands, your fingers as far forwards as you can. I quite like to create these little sort of claw-like hands, bringing the tab of my fingertips into the earth and only pressing down through fingertips. Feeling a little active through the armpit area, spreading out through the shoulders. And then come and meet me in your downward facing dog when you're good and ready. Your variation today, it could be tabletop that you're working with, child's pose you're working with. And feel free to add some movement there. This is a pose that I've been backing off for several weeks as I heal. So for me, just trying to explore how could I make this feel a little more comfy for me today, a little more stable, and it might be that I come on out of it sooner. So all of us working with different bodies, different needs. If it feels good at any point to open the mouth and maybe take a sigh away, go for it. And then if you'd like to, if you can, you're going to come and join me through high plank pose. So I'm going to actually take my time to do this. I'm going to start to tuck the chin towards the chest, soften through the knees, round through the back body as I slowly curl forwards. And just coming to pause in your plank if you can. And that could be a variation with the knees to the earth. So I'm going to attempt to stay with my knees hovering off the ground here. And it might be that you're doing the same as me. Maybe you're able to add a little bit of a movement back and forth. So I'm kind of pushing my weight a little bit forwards, a little bit back, just feeling in, noticing. So remember, we're trying to actually build some harmony through resilience. And sometimes when we're holding these poses for longer times in our yoga practice, we start to notice voices in the head going, oh, get out, when's it going to end? Or we notice the body kind of saying the same thing through trembles. I'm going to invite you to take a naughty chaturanga. So that's meaning when I lead with the hips here. I'm going to land the hips, untuck the toes, thighs. So for me, I'm staying quite high here, but you might choose to go a whole lot lower. And then melt your way all the way down, exhale. So it's like a reverse way to get down through your chaturanga there. So from here, keeping the elbows tucked in, take a little heart lift, inhale. And then exhale, wave your body back down. Again, inhale, lifting a little bit higher. And then exhale. One more time, inhale. And then lower your way back down again. Exhale. Could you tuck your toes? So we're going to see if we can try to build some strength. Now, I've been a little backing off through my wrist, so I might not do this too many times today. But I'm going to see if I can squeeze the elbows in here. Hands need to be beside the rib cage. Forehead stays to the earth. We're going to see if we can lift up to a low plank pose. So do your best. Actually, it'll be a high plank pose. So it might be that you keep the knees to the ground. Squeeze the elbows in, press down, firm up through the legs, firm up through your core. Squeeze, 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 and then lift all the way up and through to downward facing dog. We won't be doing too many of those today. Just seeing where we're at. So we've found our way into downward facing dog. Again, ripple forward through to high plank pose. This time, drop the knees or high to low plank chaturanga. Inhale through to your upward facing or cobra. And to downward facing dog, exhale. You're going to slowly make your way up towards the top of the mat. Take your time to walk it up. Take a halfway lift here. And then exhale, just melting your way down. We'll pause here, just melting into our little ragdoll. Soften through the knees. Let head, shoulders be heavy and pulling you down and forwards. If it feels good to move the arms somewhere else, you might choose to take a bit of a twist perhaps, or perhaps you want to bring the hands back behind you and just dangle. Again, just giving you a few moments to explore in your own body the openness or closedness of it at this moment, the freedom or the crankiness. Just try to be with your experience without judgment, but with curiosity. Let yourself dangle forwards if you're moving around, and then we'll slowly unravel all the way up. Little shrug at the shoulders once we come to stand mountain pose. Nice time to root down to earth, to restabilize. Perhaps eyes are open to keep you more balanced, or perhaps you can pause with the eyes closed. Feel free to have the arms beside you or connection, hands to belly or heart. Seeing if we can find a little freedom through building resilience today. So when there are moments that I'm holding you in a pose and you're just thinking, I want to get out, that's okay. You make adjustments as to what you need. See if we can find a sense of ease in those moments, ease with the thoughts, ease with the breath. And probably breath is going to be the number one key here. It always usually is. If we can come to a steady rhythmic breath, other things tend to slot into place. When you're ready to come and join me in movement, blink open the eyes, bring palms together at heart. Hands will rise up as you inhale. And then exhale, diving to the earth forward fold. Take a halfway lift, inhale. And then step or hop your way back, high to low plank pose, your variation of chaturanga. Inhaling through to cobra or upward facing today. And then to downward facing dog, you come and meet me. Pausing in your downward dog, how would it feel to take a nice long exhale out through the mouth? From downward dog, lift the right leg to the sky. Inhale, three-legged. Try not to lift the right hip any higher than the left. Pausing here, kicking the right heel right up and back with the foot flexed so that your right toes are directed down towards the earth. Could that right heel get any higher without the right hip getting any higher? One more breath. Go ahead and place the right foot in between the hands. Step it up to the top of the mat. Take a halfway lift. Inhale. Exhale to fold. The hands will rise up. Inhale. Hands to the earth. Exhale, forward fold. Take a halfway lift. Inhale. Your choice how you flow. Whatever you need in this moment. Maybe high to low plank. Maybe child's pose. Your choice. We meet in downward facing. Again, if it feels good, take a nourishing exhalation away through the mouth. Left leg rises, inhale. See if you could avoid the left hip lifting any higher than the right. See if we can work with our alignment here. Shoulders are present and stable. We're strong and active here through both legs. Don't worry if the right heel can't touch the ground. Just do what you can here to find a sense of harmony in your own body. It might be the heel lifted, maybe the right leg bent. One more breath. Could the left heel rise any more without the hip? And then draw the knee towards the face. Place the foot between the hands and step up to the top of the mat. Take a halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Hands rise all the way. Inhale. And to the earth, exhale. Come through chair, Utkatasana pose. Inhale. So you could have hands wherever you want. Just settle in. Pause. See if you can avoid taking a big old arch through the spine. See if we can try to find a neutral line, creating a longer line through the lumbar, but not rounding. Sit back into the heels. So maybe if you were to look down, you could just make out your toes there, peeking out in front of the knees. We're going to take an open twist here. So we're not going to bring the hands in. We're going to reach right arm up, left arm down, and then see if your left hand can go towards the outside of that right knee. So see if you can go, as you inhale here, open the right hand, and then hands to heart, exhale. Right hand lowers, finds the outside edge, if possible, of the left knee. Left hand rises as you inhale. Can you find a little flow with that? So exhale, hands to heart. Inhale to the right. Exhale, hands to heart. To the left. One more either side. Just doing what you can here in terms of opening. Inhale. Hands to heart, twist to the right side, pause here. Can you start to shift the weight into your right foot? Look down. Hover the left heel up off the earth so the knee will start to come forwards. Can you start to hover the whole of the left foot? Keep looking down and then kicking the left heel into the buttock. See if you can slowly step left foot back. So you're ending up in a twisted high lunge. I just got the outside edge of my left hand kind of to the outside edge of my right knee. Use that as a little push-pull action to draw your right shoulder up again. Right arm straight up to the sky here. You could always maybe balance your left forearm on that right knee if you needed to at this stage. Pausing, breathe. We're going to windmill our way into a warrior two from here. So bring the back hand down, start to windmill and to warrior two. Get your feet set up where you want them to be. Right heel roughly to the center of the arch of the back foot. Right knee balancing on top of that right heel. Pause here and just sort of feel into an openness, a buoyancy, but also a sense of strength here. You could change your hands wherever you want them to be for this next little movement. If we can, we're going to see if we can lift that front heel off the earth. So just doing what you can here, finding some strength, some resilience here, but seeing if we can really find a sense of harmony through where we're building that strength. It isn't just all in that front leg. We're sort of spreading out the energy through both of those legs. Holding for one more breath if you can. And then lowering the front heel, windmill the hands down to the top of the mat. Your vinyasa flow, however you want to flow today. You meet me in downward dog. And on your next exhale, step, walk, or jump to the top of the mat this time. Take a halfway lift, inhale. And exhale, folding. Back through to your chair pose. Bend the knees, sweep the arms. So just pausing in your chair, we're going to add that little open sort of twist here. So hands to heart might feel a nice place to start, and then you're going to twist towards the left side first. So inhale, open the arms. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, other way. Exhale. Inhale, left side. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last time to the left side. Inhale, pause. Look down for stability. Bring the weight into your left foot. Raise the right heel. You know that that right foot is going to start to kick up off the ground in a moment. So start to really bring the weight into your left leg. Kick the right heel up and in, and then slowly step the right foot back. Take a pause, rearrange yourself so that you find that balance and that harmony again in your body. If you feel like you can, you'll start to turn the gaze at the end there, but you don't have to. You could also be balancing right forearm on top of that left knee if you needed to. One more breath. We'll meet in warrior two in just a moment. So bringing the back hand down and then windmill your way in. Find your way into that steady stance of a warrior. So see if you can balance the shoulders on top of those hips. We're not in any sort of funky, wonky shape here. And then start to notice the even weight between both legs. If you can, it's almost like you've got a magic trick here and your left hand is able to levitate that left heel up off the earth like a magnet towards one another. See if you can avoid the left knee toppling in towards one direction. You want to keep it straight on top of the left heel. Breathe. You've got this. One more round of breath if you can. And then as you exhale, lower the heel, windmill the hands, and vinyasa through however you would like to flow here. Meeting in downward facing dog. On your next exhalation, step, walk, or jump towards the top of the mat. Take a halfway lift. And to fold, exhale. Bend the knees, Utkatasana. Hands to heart, exhale. To the right side, we open the wings. Inhale. Hands to heart. To the left side, inhale. Hands to heart. Right side. Hands to heart. Left side. Hands to heart. Last time to the right side. Come to pause. Look down. Bring the weight into the right foot. Hover the left heel. You've got this. See if you can slowly and steadily step the left foot back, keeping the right leg bent the whole time. Take a moment. Nestle in. See if you can rearrange yourself into that twist for a breath. And then lowering the back hand to windmill your way through to warrior two pose. Come to pause. Lift and hover the front heel. Inhale, hold, breathe. For 3, for 2, for 1. Lower the heel. This time, straighten through the front leg. Pivot the left heel in, taking goddess or god pose. See if you can align the heels, toes turned out, and then bend the elbows and bend the knees. Inhale, you can lower the arms, straighten the legs, and then exhale. Inhale again. Next time we come to pause in our goddess, god pose, sometimes referred to as horse pose, lots of different names. I usually refer to it as goddess pose. So sinking down with those hips, notice if the knees want to travel in, can you push them wider? It might be that you do need the toes slightly more pivoted forwards if you're struggling with balance. So we're going to add a little bit of a heart opener. Think about opening through the front of the chest, bringing the elbows back. If you're comfortable going there for balance, or if you're not comfortable going there with balance, keep looking forward. Otherwise, if you're okay, could you turn the gaze up? Pausing here, noticing if you're arching through the lumbar. We want to actually see if we can bring pubic bone towards the navel slightly here. So you've got a long spine still. One more breath. Slowly look forwards. No longer are we pulling the elbows back. How would it feel to see if you can start to lift up the back heel? Lift it up. Breathe. How would it feel if we added the front heel in? I don't even know if I'm going to make it. I'm going to look down for stability. Maybe you're able to play around with that. Maybe feet are too wide. I feel like my feet need to go closer, but I'm playing with it. Woo, breathe. One more breath. Whew. Lowering whatever heels are lifted, straightening through the legs, nice job. Lowering the hands, pivot the back heel in again, setting up for triangle. Inhale, reach your way forwards with the right hand, pop the hips back, left hand lifts. And then lowering the hands to the earth. Vinyasa, however you would like to flow. I'm going to turn my heating off. I no longer need it. Meeting in downward facing dog. Sweating up a storm in here. Finding your way into downward dog. On your next exhale, step, walk, or jump towards the top of your mat. Take a halfway lift. Inhale. And exhale to fold. Coming through to your chair. Inhale, hands to heart. Exhale. Open arms, twist to the left. Inhale. Exhale, hands to heart. You've got this. Open up to the right. Move with your breath. To the center. To the left. To the center. I think I said left last time. Anyway, to the right. And to the center. This is your last time coming to the left side. Look down for stability. Lift and hover that right heel first, then start to contemplate lifting the whole of the foot. Stay strong in your standing leg. That's the left leg. Lean a little forwards perhaps as you attempt to step the right foot lightly back. Take a moment to readjust into your high twist here. And then lowering the back hand first, helping you windmill to your warrior two. Come and meet me in your warrior two. And then when you're ready, hover the left heel for 3 breaths. Feel strength in your body. Even if you've got to lower your left heel, maybe you're lifting and lowering or perhaps just hovering it a millimeter off the ground today. You're going to lower the left heel and then pivot the right heel in, working into your God pose. Take a moment just to sort of feel in, observe where you want the feet. I like to try to stack my knees on top of my heels. And then let's bring the elbows in as well. Pause and breathe. So longer static holds in a pose such as a goddess pose definitely starts to bring up some feelings for myself. And it could be that I'm just relating to the sensation of my body here. Certain areas starting to back chat to me as heat starts to build. And you're just seeing if you can find a soothing breath there. You're okay. It's okay. It will end at some point like it did on the other side. If we can, we'll straighten. I think I did that a little later before, or a little later on the other side. Bend back into both elbows and knees. Straighten everything. I'm going to lower the arms as I do that. And then bend. One more time. Straighten. And then come back to bent elbows, bent knees, and let's create a little heart opener this time. So pulling the elbows back, the shoulder blades back, heart popping forwards. Try to avoid suddenly sticking your bum out. See if you can keep sit bones kind of driving down towards the earth. If you're okay with your balance, how would it feel to take the gaze up in this pose? And fix your eyes onto something solid, unmoving. One more breath if you're with me here. And then coming back through to center. If you can, how would it feel to lift the back heel this time? Come and pause. You can rest the arms wherever you kind of need them. And then how would it feel to lift the front heel? I'm going to look somewhere else. Looking into a blank wall is no good for my gaze. For my balance. One more breath. Maybe you're still with me. And then lowering the heels, straightening the legs, pivot the right heel to the back of the mat, left toes to the front. Open and spread the arms, triangle pose. Lower the left hand, lift the right. And then hands towards the earth. Your choice how you might like to flow. We'll be meeting in downward facing dog. from downward dog. Take another round of breath, and on your exhale, step, walk, or jump towards the top of the mat. Take a halfway lift, inhale. Exhale to fold. Utkatasana, your chair pose. Inhale, hands to heart, exhale. To the right side, open arms, inhale. Hands to heart. To the left side, inhale. Hands to heart. To the right side, inhale. Hands to heart, one more either side. Inhale. Hands to heart. To the right side, pause, look down, shift the weight to the right foot, hover the left heel. Take your time to step it back. Can you lean a little forwards as you transition the weight? Take a breath in your twist, both feet grounded. And then windmill to warrior two. From here, straighten through both legs. Pivot the left heel in. Get yourself set up with toes turned out. Bend through the knees, bend through the elbows. Come to pause, goddess pose. Breathe. This time, we're going to see if we can lower the front hand. So that's my right hand here. I'm not a mirror opposite to you right now. So lower the right hand, lift the left, and then see if you can reach towards the front edge of your mat. So your hands are going the opposite directions, and you're lowering that right shoulder towards the right knee or thigh. Inhale through center. Swap the arms over. Exhale, hands going different directions. Inhale through center. Straighten through both legs. Pivot both toes towards the left side of your mat, the long edge, the part that's in front of you now. Hands to the hips. Inhale, maybe find a little length first. Tip the weight into your toes. Maybe a little bend in those knees. I'm going to keep my hands to my hips here and see what I can do with my hands on my hips. So crown of head is trying to edge forwards. Don't worry about it having to touch the ground. Just seeing where you can go here, using gravity to dangle. Now I like to use my hands here to actually help kind of lengthen through my spine. I think about pushing my fingertips up and in towards my hip bones, kind of dragging my lower belly up towards the hips. And then I like to think about dragging my thumbs down the back of my hips, the opposite direction. And you don't need to do it. It's just something that I like to sort of think about helping with the tilting of my hips. Sit bones are trying to rise up towards the ceiling. So we're just dangling here for a couple more breaths. The weight is attempting to be in towards the toes. The heels don't lift. It's just this action of coming forwards and gripping the earth with your toes. Could you hug the lower ribs in slightly? You might notice a little bit more of the head dropping towards the earth. One more breath. I invite you to come up halfway, bend the knees, inhale, pause. And then again, inhale, lift all the way up, pause. Pivot right toes to the front of the mat, open out, Trikonasana, inhale, lean forwards, right hand lowers, left hand lifts. Looking down towards the earth, bring your hands to the mat, step back, high plank pose. So you could do this on your forearms, and in fact, I'm going to, still being slightly wary of my wrist. So you can do it on your hands or you can do it on forearms. So I'm going to keep my feet a good hip width apart here. And then I'm going to see if I can just start to drop my heels down towards the right side and my hips. So you can actually settle the hips down for a moment. And it will be just a moment. This one we're holding a bit longer. And then lift your way up through center and then to the left side. Inhale to center, to the right side. Inhale to center, to the left side. So moving with the rhythm of your breath through a couple more rounds. You might have already paused. It's not a race. Next time you come towards the right side, go ahead and pause now. I'm going to stay on my forearm. You could come up onto your hand. I might do it in a moment, but I'm just going to stack my legs here. You might use your left hand to help, just support. It's a side sphinx. So I'm actually going to walk my front elbow a little bit further forwards. You do your best at trying to stack the legs. I've chosen to keep them quite straight. If it's too much energy building for you underneath, maybe you do need a little bit of a split of the legs, or you could grab yourself a towel, place that underneath. If you feel like you can be higher, you could go ahead and reach the hand to the ground. So I'm feeling okay with my hand being a little further forwards. And you might be up here with me. So just seeing if we can have a little bit of a balancing act and that openness through the underside of the rib cage. It's not necessarily the most peaceful variation of our sphinx. Don't you worry, we'll come to our forward sphinx a little later on. One more breath if you can. And then slowly come all the way down onto your belly. If you prefer child's pose, you might choose that. I'm just taking a moment on my belly and rocking the hips a little here. Feeling into any observations that you might notice between left and right side, perhaps. Building resilience does not need to be forced. We can do this in a gentle way. Perhaps we find more harmony along the journey. And then when you're ready, we'll meet in downward dog. So it might be that you're taking your way through a child's pose or through a little vinyasa there, high plank, whatever you need. From downward facing dog, on your next exhale, step, walk or jump towards the top of the mat. Take a halfway lift, inhale, and exhale, twofold. Uttanasana chair pose, inhale, hands to heart, exhale. You've got this. We're going to the left side first. Open the arms, hands to heart. To the right side, hands to heart. Left side, hands to heart. Right side for the last time, hands to heart. To the left side, pause, look down, find stability in that left foot, kick the right heel up and in, lean forwards as you delicately step the right foot back. Pause for a breath. Windmill your way through to a warrior two pose. Settle for a breath. Peeling the back heel in. Come through goddess pose for a breath. Pause. So this time I'm going to turn to the side so you can see what I'm doing. This time, could you think about leaning your heart forwards and maybe trying to balance your arms on top of the thighs? Could you pause here and breathe? So instead of looking forwards, try not to arch through your spine in any way. See if you can create a nice long neutral line. If you feel like you could you hover the arms so that they're no longer being balanced on top of the thighs? Could you have a play with lifting one heel? Maybe that's enough. You drop it and lift the other heel. If you feel like you can, could you lift both heels? For 3, don't worry if you're not here. For 2, for 1, lowering the heels. You're going to lift your way up as you inhale. Pivot the toes. So you end up having your toes to the long edge of your mat. If you can, slightly pigeon toes turning in can be a great option. Hands towards the waist, take an inhale. And then start to lean forwards, exhale, grip the earth with your toes. Keep your hands to your hips. If you really want to, of course, you can use your hands, maybe on top of blocks, but I'm choosing to keep my hands connected to my hips here. If you prefer, maybe you even want to interlace fingers behind you and see whether, I'm not going to do that because of my wrist, see if you can maybe let those hands drop away from your head. It's taking time, this rest, and very, very humbling. You hope these things instantly mend, but our bodies are a miracle, but sometimes need time. One more breath. Lift up halfway. Inhale. Pause for the exhale. Lift up all the way. Straighten through the front leg, turning the toes to the front of the mat. And triangle pose. Both hands to the earth and into plank pose. So if you can, you're going to go to the left side first. Drop the heels, drop the hips. Inhale to the center, drop the heels to the other way, drop the hips. So just seeing where you can go there. I had a wonderful little crack in my spine that first direction, which felt quite relieving, I have to say. Don't worry if you're not with me. I'm just seeing if I can go down a few times either side. Next time you hit the left side, drop the hips down. I'm just going to shimmy onto my mat here. See if you can balance your legs. I'm going to keep my left hand quite far forwards, right hand wherever it can go. So I'm trying not to sort of shove my bum back here. I am seeing if I can have myself in this sort of quite straight line. Gazing wherever you can or need to for balance. Remembering you could be down on the forearm here. Just seeing what you can do with a sense of balancing of the legs. See if you can keep right hip roughly on top of the left, right shoulder on top of the left. We're here just for a couple more breaths. And then it might be that you'd like to drop down onto your belly, take a couple of breaths there, and then we'll come through to our regular centered Sphinx pose. I'm going to take a little rock at the hips as I lay on my belly. You might choose child's pose. And then taking a centered variation, your regular Sphinx pose. I tend to have my feet a good hip width apart here. Just seeing if I can rest the forearms. If you happen to have a pillow or a cushion that you like to wedge in underneath the ribs there, you're welcome to. We're not hanging out here as long as we do in a yin practice, so you might be fine just pausing here for a few more breaths. You're really welcome to have your head dangling if that feels more comfortable for you. If you need to breathe through the mouth in any way, that's fine too. Just our last breath here. And this time maybe child's pose might feel right. You could drop down to the belly first, whatever you would like to do. We'll find our way onto our backs, real gentle, mindful movement to get there. If you want to, you might automatically do what I'm doing, which is just gently gathering those knees in, moving, swaying if that feels good. Perhaps you'd be comfortable bringing the knees wide and just holding on to your ankles with your arms running to the inside of those legs. A variation of happy baby here. If it feels appropriate for you and right, you could think about directing soles of feet upwards. Maybe you're rolling around a little bit there, swaying, or perhaps in complete stillness. And then slowly coming through to a couple of breaths on either side if you'd like to rest into a little spinal twist. You decide what shape of legs you would like and which direction you'd like to hang out. Maybe one more breath on that side, and then finding your way over to the second side. And then slow and steadily making your way back through to center. And setting yourself up for our final pose, the place that we've all been building towards, Shavasana. So just leaving you with this very simple quote as you settle in. A famous, I think he's from Roman era, literacy writer, soloist. He says, harmony makes small things grow. Lack of it makes great things decay. Harmony makes small things grow. I like this phrase, and something maybe we can work towards through the rest of our day if possible. Just allowing breath to soothe your whole being now. And if you ever find that the mind feels a little hectic, perhaps you could transition your thoughts back to the sensation of breath entering and leaving the body now. And just starting to reawaken yourself. Moving however you would like to, breathing deeper. Whenever you might feel ready, rolling to the side and gently coming to meet me seated. Wherever you'd like to position the hands, perhaps pausing with eyes still closed for a moment or two longer. Feeling inwards now. Noticing whatever you may notice beneath the surface in this moment. Perhaps it's just a sense of fatigue or rested. Perhaps a sense of openness or clarity. Just hold on to that moment with a sense of nourishment in response. And we pause, we acknowledge one another with a gentle bow. I bow to you. Thank you for joining again this week.